Hey, everybody, we've hit the top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to your monthly climate perspectives on drought and hydrologic conditions in Kentucky. This is for September of 2021. My name is Megan Shargorodsky, and I am the interim director of the Kentucky Climate Center and state climatologist. Today, we will be having Matt Dixon from the UK Ag Weather Center presenting the entirety. So you'll be able to get a unique perspective on the effects on agriculture throughout the entire presentation. So with that, I will go ahead and pass it over to you, Matt.
All right, thanks, Megan. Happy September to everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I should say happy second day of meteorological fall. So we're finally to the fall season if we're looking at it from the meteorological world. So making sure my PowerPoint's running all right here. But it was kind of nice starting out the month. It was kind of nice to walk outside this morning, have a little bit of a chill to the air following that hot August we just had. Saw a lot of jackets on across UK campus this morning. Looking currently, we're in the middle 70s to low 80s across the state with low humidity. Quite the difference from August. Dew point is a way we meteorologists, climatologists will use to measure the amount of moisture in the air, and we're currently sitting in the 50s. And just to give you an idea, dew point temperatures in the 70s is what we want to stay away from at this time of year. That's whenever it gets extremely humid outside, gets very sticky. So anyways, once again, this webinar series is presented by the Kentucky Climate Center at Western Kentucky University in partnership with the National Integrated Drought Information System and in coordination with the Midwest Drought Early Warning System. Our next regularly scheduled webinar is for Thursday, October 7th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. And as always, this is being live streamed on the Kentucky Climate Center YouTube channel. If you aren't able to make this one, or know somebody, that isn't able to make it, you can access this on the YouTube channel through the archive. So a picture I put on here today, I took this picture while I was out at Talon Winery this past weekend over in southern Fayette County, and I thought it was an awesome picture. You get the vineyard down at the bottom, but you also got this nice look at a cumulonimbus cloud over, I believe it was Berea at the time. So these cumulonimbus clouds were the source of these very heavy rainfall events we saw throughout August, just torrential rainfall from time to time, even resulted in some localized flooding. So also, I want to go here, if you haven't already, we have this Kentucky Drought and Hydrologic Impact Reporter, Chip Zimmer. He's on the call today. He developed this, and just a way to send us the hydrologic or drought impacts you're seeing in your region at any particular time. So please use this impact reporter. You can see the story map link down there at the bottom, see what's going on across the state. So an outline for today, just looking at recent conditions, temperature and precipitation the past month, soil moisture, stream flow, looking a little bit at flooding recently, and then drought. Drought doesn't seem like we should be talking about that right now, but it was a little dry early in August. We were getting a little worried, but as you can see at those pictures over on the left, we had a couple tropical systems that really helped us out and cleared that drought status across Kentucky. So we had Hurricane Ida, of course, just passed through Kentucky the past few days. Hit the Louisiana coast. I put a satellite picture over here on the left of Hurricane Ida as it approached Louisiana. It was a high-end Category 4 hurricane, very strong. I want to say the last time I looked, winds were in excess of 100 of 150 to 160 miles per hour. So I always tell people hurricane, much larger area. And of course, not everyone saw those 150, 160 mile per hour winds, but that's in the realm of a EF3, EF4 tornado right there. So very strong system passing through that area of the U.S., quite a bit of storm surge. Luckily, compared to Katrina, which, interesting enough, Ida hit on the exact same day as Katrina 16 years ago. But new infrastructure, new flooding mitigation measures, we didn't see that with Ida. Now, the high winds did knock out power to over 1 million people, but storm surge and whatnot was kind of kept at bay a little bit better compared to Katrina with the new infrastructure. And then, of course, we had Tropical Storm Fred. Sorry, I didn't change the date on there 2 weeks ago, but it came up from the panhandle of Florida and went through eastern Kentucky primarily. So other than that, we'll look at ag impacts and then outlooks moving forward. So starting off, here's a look at 7-day radar estimated precip overlaid with Kentucky Mesnet Station precipitation accumulations. And the past 7 days have been extremely wet. Most of that coming with Hurricane Ida passing through the region. Luckily, we didn't really get the wind with Ida. Good to see. We did get quite a bit of rainfall. All those colors in yellow, 2 to 3 inches, tan color, 3 to 4 inches, even had some locations in that red color of 5 to 6 inches. This was predominantly a statewide event over a 2-day period as Ida pushed through. And we have to take into account a cold front the day before, but anyways, pretty widespread across the entire state. The only exception being down there in the Purchase area of western Kentucky that didn't see much of anything. Now, if we go by an agricultural perspective, I know I saw some tweets out there. Dr. Chad Lee from UK, grain specialist, said something about it. The dry conditions in western Kentucky this past week may not necessarily be a bad thing because we have quite a bit of corn that's now matured at this point in time. So can be a good thing. So going on to the 30-day estimated precipitation, pretty widespread across the state. Even though the Purchase area didn't get the rainfall last week, they've gotten plenty the past month. Most of the state, 4+ inches. We didn't really have much of a problem with rainfall this month outside of the first week of August. So, and something that I wanted to point out on this map, and outside of Kentucky, we see those tan colors in central Kentucky and over in eastern Kentucky of 9+ inches. I think I see 10 down there in the southeastern portion of Kentucky. But something that really sticks out, and we have to look at the legend for this, is down there in west central Tennessee, just west of Nashville. We have some red colors showing up, and legend's different on this one compared to the 7-day map. That's 20 to 25 inches down there, and of course that's associated with that flood event in Waverly, Tennessee. And just to go along with that, I wanted to add this slide in there. This shows the estimated 48-hour rainfall across west central Tennessee over the days of August 20th through the 22nd. Now, Waverly, Kentucky, or Tennessee was the main location. It got hit hardest, but there were some spots around there that recorded 17 inches of rain in less than 24 hours. Again, that's 17 inches, not 7. 17 inches of rain in less than 24 hours. Just absolute catastrophic flooding in that area. Last time I looked, I think there was over 20 people that had died with this flood event. So very extreme rainfall within a short period of time. And it got me thinking, you know, what's Kentucky's record? This 17 inches that they saw in Waverly, that broke the all-time state record, 24-hour state rainfall record in Tennessee. And if I remember right, it broke it by 3 or 4 inches. But I looked back at Kentucky, and our record is set back in March 1st of 1997. Louisville, the National Weather Service office there, recorded almost 10.5 inches in less than 24 hours. And this is a picture taken from that event, the flood in 1997 of downtown Louisville there. So exceptional amount of rainfall in a short period of time, but I put the website down there if you're interested in looking more. So going back 60 days, still quite a bit of rainfall across the state. Showing 60 days now. There's not really much in the way of dry spots showing up across Kentucky. And this extends back to 90 days, going back to June 3rd. And going back the past few months, each and every month has shown above normal rainfall. So 3 straight months of above normal rainfall here in the Bluegrass State. That's following a fairly dry start to the spring in April and May. So a pretty widespread wet pattern across the Bluegrass State. This is shown in the deviation from normal maps I have on here. If we're looking for below normal precip over the past 30, 60, 90 days, we're not seeing it much of anywhere on the map. Those would be the yellow shades, the tan shades. The only places you're really seeing that is the 30-day departure from normal, and that's up in central Indiana. They've missed out on quite a bit of rainfall recently, and it's showing up in the U.S. Drought Monitor, which I'm going to show here in a second. But anyways, looking at this past month again, I pulled out some statistics, and preliminary data from the Midwestern Regional Climate Center shows the state averaged 5.32 inches for August, which is over 1.5 inches above normal. And if we look at records that go back to 1895, over 125 years worth in this record book, it is in the top 20 wettest August months on record. So anyways, very wet month of August. That's extended back into July and June. Once again, 3rd straight month of above normal rainfall for Kentucky. Now, I want to put this weekly precipitation departures chart on here. While we've ran above normal the past few months, it's been kind of interesting. We've seen this pattern throughout the summer. Anything in green on this month or on this chart is weeks that saw above normal rainfall. Anything in brown, weeks that saw below normal rainfall. And we go back to May, we had a couple weeks of above normal rainfall that was followed by 3 weeks of below, going back above for 2 weeks, going into the start of June. Once again, going below and then above. So we got this up and down pattern, 2 to 3 weeks of above normal rainfall, followed by 2 to 3 weeks of below normal rainfall. But overall, above normal rainfall has won out the past 3 months. I know Chip and Megan both on here. We've been talking the past few months. There have been times when Chip has to gather everyone on the state drought committee, talk about dryness creeping into Kentucky. But sure enough, it seems like a week or two goes by, and we get into this wet pattern once again. So, looking at temperatures, maximum temperatures ran close to normal for most of August. You see some areas there in northeastern Kentucky and western Kentucky that did run slightly below normal. On the opposite side of the spectrum, minimum temperatures ran quite a bit above normal throughout the month, 2 to 3 degrees above normal for most of the state, sometimes 3 to 4. There's some sections that were 4 to 5 degrees above normal. So very hot. There were numerous times when we saw high temperatures get into the low to middle 90s. We couple that with humidity. We saw heat indices get into the 100 to 110 degree range at times. That pushed livestock heat stress in my sector that I work with into the danger to emergency category quite a bit throughout the month. But I like to look at this map of average minimum temperatures, the deviation from average, because it shows while days were running warm, we weren't getting much recovery during the overnight periods either. So, but overall, looking at the average temperature for August, we're running 1 to 2 degrees above normal. Some areas of the state, north central Kentucky, 2 to 3 degrees above normal. And once again, I looked at the Midwestern Regional Climate Center. It looks like the preliminary data, it's going to be a top 20 month for temperatures, as in it's top 20 warmest August on record. Seems like we don't typically get a top 25 warmest and wettest month on record at the same time. Usually those warmer months accompany those drier months we get, but that's not the case in August 2021. So looking at soil moisture and groundwater, we're in pretty good shape right now, obviously with the remnants of Hurricane Ida and Tropical Storm Fred moving through the region. You see that for the most part across eastern Kentucky there in soil moisture rankings. Same thing goes with groundwater. Just not a whole lot of issues right now with the amount of rain we've seen recently. Looking at soil moisture, for a couple stations across the state, it got Hardin County. This is from the Kentucky Mesnet. I got Hardin County over here on the left and Warren County on the right. And once again, there was some concern early in the month. We had a pretty wet first half of July that was followed by a pretty dry second half of July, and then the first week of August followed that trend. So if you look at these gray and blue lines, that's shallow soil moisture there, 2-inch and 4-inch depths in the gray and blue. They were on the decline early in the month in both spots. And then we got into the 2 middle weeks of August, and we saw quite a bit of rainfall. If I remember right, looking at our weekly data in the UK Ag Weather Center, we had back-to-back weeks where we averaged over 1.5 inches across the state. And you can see those upticks in the soil moisture with those events throughout the middle sections of the month. Going in to the end of the month before Ida, we had a week where rainfall was pretty spotty. Some areas got rainfall, some others didn't. I was talking on the ag side. This is one of those instances where my farm didn't get nothing, but my neighbor across the street got 2 inches. So one of those kind of events. But then we got to the end of the month, and we see this last uptick here on the right with Hurricane Ida moving through the region. So we're in a good spot looking at soil moisture right now, hoping it stays that way going through the fall months. Stream flow average, nothing below normal right now. Obviously, with all the rain we've seen recently, green is normal, blue is actually much above normal. So no dry spots showing up across the state, according to stream flow, all running predominantly normal to above normal right now. Some actually in that high category in the black spots. Current flooding, nothing really major going on right now. Everything's showing no flooding at the moment, but I'll show you in a second with storm reports. There were numerous instances of flash flooding across the state this month. I was talking about those cumulonimbus clouds earlier, these isolated storms. We have a very moist atmosphere in place. We had quite a bit of rounds of torrential rainfall. And whenever you get 2 to 3 inches within a short period of time, it doesn't take much in these cities to create some flash flood situations. So looking at the U.S. Drought Monitor, all the rain we've had recently, we have no problems for the most part here at Kentucky. This is the latest update, came out this morning, and Kentucky's in the clear for the most part. We got a little bit of abnormally dry conditions up in the northern bluegrass. Indiana has seen an expansion recently. Abnormally dry conditions up in central Indiana, moderate drought in some spots. But overall, across the Ohio Valley, we're looking pretty good at this time of the year, especially so considering we're going into what is our driest season of the year. Drought looking up into the northern Dakotas and Minneapolis, maybe closer to the Ohio Valley. They remain in a severe drought up that way. Some locations extreme and exceptional drought, but once again, we're looking all right here in our neck of the woods. U.S. Drought Monitor class change over the past 4 weeks. Any place we see green, it's looking better. Any place we see yellow, it's looking worse. So once again, up there in central Indiana, they're going in the wrong direction right now. While here in Kentucky, we've seen some improvements. There at the start of August, just to go to this U.S. Drought Monitor again, this is the Drought Monitor on August 10th. We had some areas in the northern bluegrass, down there in Allen County and Barron County and whatnot, and then some spotty locations across eastern Kentucky that were experiencing abnormally dry conditions. This map was made right after we had some major rainfall pass through the region earlier in the month, and there was talk about really expanding these abnormally dry conditions before we got that rain. I was talking to a lot of producers across western Kentucky, central Kentucky, and up into the bluegrass that missed out on rain the latter half of July, start of August, and there was a lot of reports of corn starting to curl, pastures going downhill. Down there in Barron County, Allen County, and whatnot, there was some agents telling me that they were already feeding hay at this time. So it wasn't looking great. We were really hoping, this isn't going to be 2019 all over again. And then once again, we started getting wet. Multiple rounds of rainfall really took care of this problem. Kept some abnormally dry conditions in there for south central Kentucky that missed some of the rainfall. And going forward to our current drought monitor here on August 31st, do have some leftover abnormally dry conditions up in the northern bluegrass, but predominantly the rest of the state's looking really good right now. Looking at storm reports from the last 30 days, most of it was a result of heavy rainfall. These green icons you see on there are the result of flash flooding or floods in general. Had a couple hail events reported just west of Lexington, Woodford County, and whatnot. We see those gray icons of heavy rain. And then we did have some thunderstorm wind damage accompany some of these storms moving through the area. One of my friends here at work, Dr. Josh Jackson, he sent me this picture of his farm late in August, and he was driving home and saw some straight line winds took over some of the trees close to his driveway. So anyways, predominantly flash flooding was the main hazard in August of 2021. So going on to ag impacts, we are now closing in on harvest season here in the Bluegrass State. Looking at the chart above, corn mature now sits at 30% across Kentucky, about 10% behind the 5-year average we normally see at this time of year. Crop conditions continue to run mostly in that good category and little in those very poor and poor categories. Once again, something we definitely want to see at any time of the year, but this has been the trend throughout the growing season of 2021. We did have a little bit of worry, as I was saying, with the dry weather early in the month, but luckily we did get those 2 weeks of wet weather in the middle of August, followed by the remnants of Ida moving through the area. There was some concern about how much rain we were going to get from Ida, but talking to a bunch of farmers across the region, they wanted that rainfall. So that rain during the second week of August, once again, I talked about maybe expanding the abnormally dry conditions. I'd say that rain was one of those $1 million rain events. It really helped out the ag sector. It was a very welcome sight. We needed all this rain to finish up grain fill through the end of the season. Temperatures in the low to middle 90s made it even more important that we got that rain. Corn uses less water later in development, but it's still very much needed until it fully matures. So outside of grain crops, Ida was great news for those wanting to stockpile forage for later in the year, but we have one problem out there. Something that, well, it's causing some headaches across. Megan, can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can hear you, but I lost your PowerPoint.
Okay, it says it's connecting. Not sure what's going on. Let me see if I can get it back.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. We are trying to get the PowerPoint back and hopefully back in just a moment.
Megan, you might pull up the one on the Google Drive that I put on there.
Yep, I can get that just a moment. All right, I have it. What slide were you on?
Kentucky Ag Impacts. Yes, apologize everybody. It looks like we lost internet in the weather center, so this is fun.
All right.
So Megan, are you on the slide?
Yes.
Okay. If you can click through as I go, it like I said, it looks like we lost internet, but anyway, so yes, we had one problem out there, an invasion of sorts, as there's a pest across the state getting a lot of attention. It's called fall armyworm. I've included several pictures of that below. In fact, this is the worst year for the pests in quite some time. I'm hearing late 70s in some cases. Picture of it can be seen below in the lower left-hand corner from Dr. Rick Besson, a UK extension entomologist. These pests can absolutely devastate a pasture, hayfield, or even soybeans. The picture in the middle shows one of those soybean fields. You may even be seeing them on a golf course. Some people are reporting seeing them on their decks and whatnot. They're just all over the place. But anyway, specialists advise farmers and producers that if you have 2 to 3 of these fall armyworm per square foot or more in a pasture or hayfield, an insecticide is needed. Saying that if you have a hay crop near harvest, they also say that you can mow it down immediately and not wait for the next good window because defoliation can happen quickly. These pests have 30-day life cycles and won't be killed off until first frost, which for Kentucky isn't until well into October. This means that this pest is here to stay for a while. So The good news is this pest may not be around next year. It is a migratory pest in the moss stage that travels up from the southeast. These army worms are true to their name, and they somewhat march together, as you can see in the pictures below, taking out a field from one side to the other. Sometimes this damage extends to home lawns, and this can be seen on the right from Beth Wilson, the Pulaski County horticulture agent. But defoliation can occur rapidly, so producers are encouraged to spray if it is seen. So next slide, please. So hearing that the dry conditions probably took the top off yields, but nonetheless, we're still expected to have a good season yield-wise. Not looking at record yields like we did in 2020, but still good. USDA NASS came out with their yield forecast estimates a couple weeks ago. Corn yield is estimated at 183 bushels per acre, only down 1 bushel from 2020. So soybeans are also down 1 bushel from 2020 levels. But keep in mind that these yields for both corn and beans in 2020 were record yields for the state of Kentucky. So all in all, we are still looking at a great 2021 season. Don't think we'll see the yields like we saw in 2020, but otherwise wheat is also looking great compared to 2020 when we had to deal with the late freeze events. Yields are expected to be up 25 bushels to 88 bushels per acre. Looking at the maps across the United States, Kentucky looks pretty favorable compared to states in the upper Midwest that have been impacted by drought this year. So overall, we're in a pretty good spot at this point in the growing season. Next slide, please. So looking at the quantitative precip forecast, not looking at a whole lot of rainfall over the upcoming week. We do have some scattered chances in the forecast on Saturday and Sunday, but otherwise it's going to be mostly dry and very limited in the amount of rainfall. Most of the state falling under half inch of rainfall. Some places across southeastern Kentucky a little bit more, but for the most part limited, which looking at how much rainfall we got the past week, I would say this would be welcomed right now, and especially so with the cool weather in place. So if you had any pastures going downhill the past few weeks, they should be on the uphill climb now. Next slide, please. So the 6 to 10 day outlook showing below normal temperatures or higher confidence in below normal temperatures across the Ohio Valley. So we're seeing temperatures the next couple days in the 70s, maybe low 80s across the state. And we are going to see a slight increase over the weekend, but below normal temperatures look to continue for the most part out into next week, September 7th through 11th time frame. Accompanying those dry or cooler conditions is some drier weather across the bluegrass state. So 6 to 10 days out, higher confidence and below normal precipitation. Of course, whenever we talk about these graphics, darker shades, higher confidence levels. So looking at the map on the right, the highest confidence and below normal precipitation would be across Kansas and Oklahoma right now. Highest confidence and below normal temperatures would be across eastern Kentucky and up into Ohio. So next slide, please. 8 to 14 day below normal temps look to hang on across eastern Kentucky, maybe closer to normal across the western half. Could really go either way across the western half of Kentucky. Of course, 8 to 14 days out, this is for the September 9th to September 15th time frame. The entire second week of September, those below normal conditions and the way precipitation looks to continue across most of the state. Next slide, please. So the monthly outlook for September, this is taking into account those below normal temperatures we're seeing over the first half of September, showing below normal temperatures for the entirety of September. Looking at precipitation, it's showing above normal precip across Kentucky, and especially so as you get up into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and whatnot. But reading the narrative, this took into account the impacts of Ida moving through the region. So Ida dropped a tremendous amount of rainfall across the region, and even if we see below normal rainfall the next couple of weeks, this is one of the drier months of the year. So still a pretty good chance we end up above normal for the month. Next slide. Seasonal outlook for September, October, and November. NWS Climate Prediction Center. Above normal temperatures, higher confidence across Kentucky, near normal or equal chance for precipitation for Kentucky in regards to precipitation. So really could go either way for precip going out through the fall months of September, October, and November. Next slide, please. Change in seasonal normals. I made this graphic with UK Ag Weather Center update a few weeks ago, kind of going over the changes in the normals for the fall season. Basically, back in May, we transferred from the 1981 to 2010 normals to the 1991 to 2020 normals. Looking for any changes in our climate whenever we drop off the one decade of 81 through 1990 and add on the decade of 2011 through 2020. So I took a look at that here. On an annual basis, we're getting warmer, we're getting wetter across the Bluegrass State. Just looking at these 6 locations across the state for the fall season alone, we are trending warmer during the fall months. Looking at precipitation, it's going either way. There's some areas that are showing an increase. There are some that are showing a decrease. So it just depends across where across the state you're looking at any particular time. Moving ahead, if we can look at the monthly stream flow outlook. We are showing above normal stream flows for the month of September. Looking ahead, maybe near normal, closer or across the western half of Kentucky, but above normal across the eastern half. Going to the next slide, please. Looking at the seasonal flood risk outlook for September, October, and November. Most everyone, there's not much of a risk for flooding outside of some locations across eastern Kentucky there, showing a minor and moderate risk in the orange and red colors. Next slide, please. Lastly, significant wildland fire potential moving forward through September. Not looking at anything across Kentucky. Good news to see with harvest season across the region. We did have problems back in 2019 with combines catching on fire. We had some wildfires. Same thing happened in 2016. But with all this above normal rainfall we've seen recently, we're looking pretty good for September 2021. And then if we can go to the last slide. Just in summary, August started out dry, but with those couple weeks of above normal rainfall and then Ida passing through at the end of the month, we quickly took a 180-degree turn, went in the opposite direction, and we ended the month above normal in rainfall. It was a warm month, August. Once again, ranks in the top 25 warmest August months on record. Really glad to see these cooler temperatures to start September. Looking at ag, outside some issues with fall armyworm, we're looking all right in the agricultural sector. Hopefully we keep getting periodic rain periods of rainfall and keep drought out of the question. So, and then lastly, outlooks are hinting at cooler and drier conditions for the first half of September. possibly transitioning to a wetter pattern for the second half. I was looking at some of the experimental outlooks for later in September, and they're trending toward that wetter pattern. So we'll see. We're still a ways out. We'll see what happens. But other than that, if we can go to the last slide, our next scheduled webinar is once again for October 7th, 2021, a little over a month from now. Same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. Contacts for feedback. Of course, you can get in contact with Megan at WKU, myself, or Bill Caldwell and Chip Zimmer with the Department or Division of Water. Sorry. Chip is, I believe, on schedule to give our next webinar next month, so we look forward to seeing what he has to say. But otherwise, please sign up for this Impact Reporter. Let us know what's going on across the state. Hopefully, we don't have to deal with drought anymore this year, but it's always a possibility. So, with that, I'll leave it up to you guys. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer the best I can. But yeah, I'll send it back to you, Megan.
Thank you for an awesome presentation, Matt, and thank you for those who have stuck through to the end, even though we had some technical difficulties. So we will go ahead and open up the floor for any questions. Feel free to unmute yourself, or you can type into the chat box, and I will give just a minute or so for you guys to do that. One thing I'll start a conversation about is with regard to the army worms. Is there anything that can be done? I guess maybe more with regard to local residential lawns and so forth, or is it just you deal with them until they're gone?
Yeah, and that's a good question. I do have some articles that go into that, and I'll have to send them your way. Maybe you can include them with the link to the recording and whatnot later. But
Yeah.
I was reading through there. There are some remedies you can put on your lawn, insecticides and whatnot. But I was also reading if you put down something like Grubex earlier in the year, you should be protected for the most part from this fall armyworm. But you know, there is another generation coming. Like I was saying in the webinar, October 15th, later in October, that's normally when we see our first frost, and these things aren't going to go away until that first frost. So there's definitely going to be another cycle of these things. We'll see how much they expand across the state, but yes, there is a possibility they end up in home lawns. The thing we're worried about most right now is alfalfa and whatnot across the state. But anyways, yeah, I'll get you that information to put in with the webinar recording.
Awesome, that would be great. And then I guess another question, I don't know if it would be more for Matt or Chip, but I'm just curious on other perspective on how bad and how close we were to a flash drought with regard to earlier in the month before we had these couple of bouts of rain.
I'll probably let Chip take this one. I know ag seemed like it was getting awfully close. So, but Chip, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I'd love to hear your perspective, Chip.
I would say we were like a week or two away. It was close.
Yeah.
I know. At my house in Georgetown, our lawn was getting pretty brown. You could see the pastures were you could really starting to get stressed. But luckily, that rain hit just before the point of no return, where you have pasture damage and stuff. So everything came back and was nice and green again immediately. So yeah, we got close, but luckily we got some nice timely rains.
Yeah, I know with respect to the Kentucky Mesonet stations, we had several that had over 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks with no recorded rainfall. So that gets pretty rough pretty quick. So. Any other questions from anybody else? Okay, well, we will go ahead and wrap up. As Matt already said, you can feel free to contact any of the people here. And our next scheduled webinar will be October 7th, and we will have Chip Zimmer from the Department of Water giving that one. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to get in contact. I will follow up with the recording email, and if Matt passes along some information, I'll include that as well. So thank you everybody for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you next month.